These might be the most underrated cookies in all of Dutch baking. No butter, no frosting, just three main ingredients: flour, eggs, and sugar. And yet, you cannot stop eating them. Today, we are making eierkoeken. Hi, I'm Toine and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies such as Indonesia. If you grew up in the Netherlands, you already know what eierkoeken are. They look like a cookie, yet the inside is just like a cake. Even at my house, my mom often brought them home from the bakery, yet she never made them herself. Now, when I moved to the States, I made it myself because there's nothing like it in an American grocery. So today, I'm going to show you how. To make eierkoeken, you will need 150 grams of all-purpose flour, 130 grams of superfine sugar, 3 eggs, either 1 packet of vanilla sugar or half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of baking powder, the zest of half a lemon, and a pinch of salt. The first thing we're going to do is zest half a lemon directly into the sugar, and you'll see why in a second. If you like the flavor of lemon, it's okay to put more of it in, or if you have a small lemon, just do the entire zest. So we're just going to continue. Don't go over the white area. You want to just get that bright yellow. Of course, the lemon was thoroughly washed before we started zesting it. Get all of that goodness into the sugar. Now we're going to rub the zest and the sugar together between our fingers. This serves a few purposes. The first purpose is if there's any clumps in the sugar, you will break them up with your fingers. But what it also does is get all the essential oil from the zest into the sugar, and it just makes for a much better flavor of the eierkoek at the end, rather than having the zest added to the batter later on. Smells so good. If you don't like your hands smelling like lemon, you can put on some gloves, but I kind of enjoy it. You can see that the sugar gets a little bit clumpy. That is, of course, from the oil that we are pressing out of the zest, but that's okay. We're going to beat the sugar for quite a while with the eggs, so those clumps will not be a problem. The sugar also takes on a little bit of a light yellow or faint yellow color, and that means you're doing a good job. I have my stand mixer ready, and I've already cracked the eggs into the bowl. Now I'm going to add the vanilla extract into the eggs, half a teaspoon. Going to give it a quick mix. Now that the eggs are broken up, I'm going to add my lemon sugar, all of it. And we're going to start mixing this on slow, and then we're going to increase the speed. This is going to run for at least 5 minutes. The mixer has been going for 5 minutes. The color of the eggs and the sugar has gotten nice and pale. So now we are going to take a look and see if it's the right consistency. What I'm expecting is that when I take the whisk out, that it falls off in a ribbon, and the ribbon stays on top for a few seconds, and that is a sign that it is thick enough. I'm going to shake this off, move the mixer out of the way, and then we'll move on with the flour. I have my bowl with flour here. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, pinch of salt. I'm going to mix that together. So I'm mixing this together with a whisk to make sure that the salt and the baking powder are evenly distributed throughout the flour, so that when you taste the cookie, you don't get a bite full of salt or baking powder. Okay, since we are going to fold it into the egg mixture, I'm going to sift the flour into a new bowl. This way I know for sure there are no clumps or big pieces left in there, and it is nice and airy. So I'm sifting the flour because I don't want any clumps in here. Okay. Thought I had all the flour, but I don't. Okay, now I do. So next, it's time to fold the flour into the eggs. So let me move this right in front of me. I'm gonna give it one little whisk like this, shake it all off. Move the sieve over there. All right, carefully put the flour on the eggs. And now we're going to fold it. And folding is put your spatula in the middle, all the way to the bottom, and then pull it up, pull it towards yourself and over. So you're folding the flour into the egg and sugar mixture. This is an essential step, and you got to be really careful because you do not want to deflate the eggs. So every time you do this, you're going to rotate the bowl by about a quarter turn and get all the flour incorporated. Keep folding until you don't see any more streaks of flour. So this looks good. I'm going to scrape off my spatula. Get it all in there. There's my oven that is just done preheating at 175 degrees Celsius, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm now going to cover the bowl with a kitchen towel. This prevents it from drying out, while resting for at least 5 minutes hydrates the flour inside the batter. The batter has been resting for 5 minutes, and you can either use tablespoons. I like to use a scooper. This is a 1.5 ounce scooper that is the equivalent of 3 tablespoons, and that's about how much batter you want to use for each eierkoek. So we're going to make a scoop, put it on here, put it on either a parchment covered baking sheet or, in my case, a sill pad. And you want to leave about 3 inches in between them because they are going to spread in the oven. I'm going to cover this back up so it doesn't dry out. I'm now going to put these into my oven, and I'm going to bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. What you're looking for is a golden edge around the bottom of around the outside of the cookie, while the top is still pale. Okay, I'll see you in about 10 minutes. The cookies have been baking for 12 minutes, so let's take a look. The bottom edge has a light golden brown color. The top is still pale, so they're ready to be taken out of the oven. The cookies are going to stay on the cookie sheet for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to remove them to let them cool completely on a rack. You may have noticed that I didn't scoop out all of the batter because, in my experience, putting 2 cookie sheets in the same oven at the same time doesn't yield the same results. So now that the first batch is done, I'm going to scoop up the rest of the batter. And this time it may only make 10 and not 12. And these are now going into my oven. Let me put the mixing bowl away. It's now time to move the first batch onto the rack. So with a small spatula, I'm going to free them from the sill pads and put them on the rack. Okay, here are my cooled Eierkoeken. Let's take a look at them. The top is slightly domed and the bottom is a nice light golden brown, while the top is a lot paler, just like they should be. Now let's take a bite. Just like I remember how they were from the bakery. Nice and cakey on the inside with a little bit of crunch when they're fresh on the outside. You can taste just a light hint of lemon. So delicious. There are multiple ways you can eat it. I know in Brabant some people put a little butter on the bottom and eat them that way. If you feel a little bit like indulging, you can add some Nutella or chocoladeboter on it. Great combination. In the summer, what I've seen people do is put some whipped cream and strawberries in between two cookies and make an Eierkoek sandwich. Absolutely delicious. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button and don't forget to share it with your friends. If you have any memories or questions about Eierkoeken, you can post them in the comments below. I'll post the recipe on my website, toineskitchen.com, in both metric and imperial measurements. You can find me on social media as well. If you make this recipe, I would love it if you can take a photo and post it on Instagram tagging me at Toine's Kitchen, and I'll share it in my story and on my website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.